was lucky enough to have my father with me until I was 28 years old, and then my mother stayed with me until she was 94. Her side of the family is very long-lived, and at the very end of her life, she was in an assisted living place, a beautiful place. I mean, she had really no complaints, but she was getting older. And the last time I saw her there, the nurse who was on duty said to me, you know, your mother Marjorie is a real lady, which of course I always knew. She was an amazing woman. She was smart, she was funny, she was the grateful mother of 5, and she was just a remarkable person in every way. You know, she came from that generation that had been through all of the difficulties that we really are amazed that our parents lived through, the Depression and the various distressing times that came about, and of course World War II. She drove the Red Cross truck, and she took me on one of her trips when I was a little girl in California. And so I went home after her death, and I wrote that little note down about my mother being a lady and how she had left in the twilight of her life. She will always be missed.
She's a lady, and she barely knows her name now. In the twilight as she sleeps, and her memories chase her down the days of childhood. There was music, always music, and her brothers. There was Robert, the captain of a freighter that sailed to China. There was Shannon, who ran off one icy morning, and then Herbie, and then Frank, all so handsome, and her sisters, who were beautiful and yearned to be together. She's a lady, and she's sleeping like a princess who will wake up and drink amber from a slipper made of diamonds. She was married to a blind man who was my father, such a charmer, and another whose name is Robert, and who holds her fragile hand while I am weeping. Chardonnay in a crystal glass, amethyst on her necklace, roses and forget-me-nots in the garden where she lingered. All around her the snowy peaks drew her eyes with wonder. All of her betrayals drowned in the roaring canyon's thunder. She's a lady, and she always dressed in silk, and had her hair done, and her clothes were pretty colors, and the scent of the Chanel in her satin cloak when she went dancing with my father when they were very young. She's a lady and saw nearly 20 presidents, and she voted for Obama. In the old days, sipping Presbyterians, she'd argue with her children who had opinions about everything that mattered, and she'd tell them of the time she saw Rachmaninoff. Chardonnay in a crystal glass, amethyst in her necklace, roses and forget-me-nots, and 3 sons so wise and reckless. Daughters too were free like her, one who sang and one who painted. She loved them all ever more and more, and thought all of us should be sainted. She's a lady, and she barely knows her name now. In the twilight, and she sleeps most of the day. And when she wakes up, she says that she's going home, and asks me how I knew where to find her. In this home that's not her home, she sees her garden growing wild, since she had to leave the sweetness of those afternoons on the patio, where Robert kept the flowers blooming. She's a lady, and she's going home, she tells me in the twilight, as her eyes close. I ask her where, and she says that it's a secret. Then she's gone, just like the flowers in her garden. Chardonnay in a crystal glass, amethyst on her fingers, roses and forget-me-nots in the garden where she lingers. All around her the snowy peaks drew her eyes with wonder, all of her betrayals drowned in the roaring canyon's thunder. Marjorie, my mother, sweet Marjorie of the garden,